Thanks for joining us on the weekend edition of National Focus. I'm Kerdisha St. Louis. Coming up, Dominica's Prime Minister sends strong message to NEP employees. The Rotary Club will begin renovation of the Reginald Fitzroy Armour Hospital next week, and the DLP Administration remains committed to sustaining the island's banana industry. Details of our headline stories and more after this.
Dominica is blessed with an abundance of water, but getting it to your home is an expensive venture. You have a responsibility to conserve water, to use it wisely. Remember the old adage, you never miss the water till the well runs dry. Think water, think life.
Thanks for staying with us. Dominica's Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit has sounded a strong message to employees of the National Employment Program. The Dominica leader made that call as he addressed a press conference this week.
Nobody must read the NEP as the government giving you money and you liming. It's not going to happen. It's not liming money. It's not money it's money being paid to you to do work. So this is a message that we've been sending to everybody who is employed under the program. And this is why some people have been laid off because they have not been working, they have not been diligent. So there are people who have been laid off by the Ministry of Responsible NEP. We're very serious about this thing. If there are reports from a supervisor in the field that the person hasn't come to work today, hasn't come to work tomorrow, he hasn't come to work for the week or 2 weeks, he's removed. And he doesn't get paid if he doesn't show up for work. So there's a report to the village council. If you don't work on a particular day, you won't get paid. So it's not money that we're giving to people as contrary to what we hear out there. It's a program that is run seriously with good management as well.
In other news, a concerned group of residents and the Village Council of Woodford Hill turned out on Thursday morning to meet the Honorable Sports Minister and the government officials who would bring good news for sports in that community. A check for $143,000 from the Ministry of Sports and Constituency Empowerment was handed over to Village Council Chairman Joseph Russell to complete the Woodford Hill playing field. That sum, according to Permanent Secretary in that ministry, Mandra Fagan, was predestined from the 2014-2015 national budget. She added that the work which remains to be done includes extensive drainage measures.
The works to be undertaken will include some cutting and filling for the leveling of the north and southeast end of the field, spraying of the weeds on the field, grubbing of part of the field, the sprigging of Bermuda grass, and irrigation of the field for a period of 6 weeks. There will also be installation of a water system to the playing field, the completion of the culvert by the construction of wing walls, the construction of a 200-meter earth drain on the western and the northern ends of the playing field, and the construction of a 100-meter concrete drain on the southern end of the playing field.
Chairman Joseph Russell says this is the second disbursement in 3 years for this project.
The first allocation brought the field up to the state that you are seeing now. It was in a very poor condition before then, but with prudent use of the funds that were allocated, we made the playing field playable to the community members, and at this moment we can say that our field is being used and used very often. The village council has undertaken the upkeep of the field, and with the installation of a sports committee very recently, we hope that this can be taken over by the members of the community.
The Honorable Minister for Sports and Constituency Empowerment, Justina Charles, was full of praise for the Village Council for its prudence and persistence. Government is on the move to meet the sporting needs of communities, she says.
This is in keeping with government's plan, as we promised before the election and even during the election, and that is part of our policy direction moving forward to develop the playing fields across Dominica. And all of that, as I always say, will be done incrementally. We can do some at a time. And so we are seeing, after having done quite a few, we are now in Woodford Hill, and I know the Woodford Hill community has been speaking on behalf of the community for the upgrade of the playing field.
Athenia Benjamin, diaspora coordinator and resident of nearby Wesley, also had a role to play in this event.
I have been involved here with the community of Woodford Hill with some of the activities they're having on the playing field. It's a space that is used very often. For the upcoming Woodford Hill reunion, we use here every week, having fundraising events, you know, rondas, soccer or football played here, and just work closely with the village council to help maintain the field. Also work diligently to get more to mow the field with one of our very good friends from Woodford Hill.
Both the Honorable Sports Minister and the Permanent Secretary shared the belief that residents should claim the playing field as belonging to the community and themselves.
There are so many times when you hear of community members referring to a facility as that is government facility, and they're not cleaning it, they're not cutting the grass. It is not government's facility, it is your facility. It belongs to you, it belongs to the community. So take pride in what you have and maintain it, show appreciation for what you have.
Alexandria Carbon does not have to be convinced.
I live here since I was born. I live here and I'm 57 years old now. And the playing field was not in that standard. It's thank God for us, but Spirit that come and bring the playing field in that standard where all the children, adults, everybody can come and do whatever they have to do to encourage the villagers, and all the villagers have to come together to make it with one love, so we could come and exercise our body, and those young children can play the sports and footballs and cricket and everything. As my husband is a cricketer, and I would be glad for him to come back to play cricket again. I see the check handle myself, and I feel excited in my heart. And so when I go home, I'm going to tell my son about it and tell my husband about it, and I'm going to ask him to come back and play cricket again because we have everything in our hands now.
In more news, renovation of the Accident and Emergency Department of the Reginald Fitzroy Armour Hospital in Portsmouth will begin on Monday. The Honorable Parliamentary Representative Ian Douglas's response, Rotary Club, we salute you. It was the general consensus on Thursday at the Rotary Club ceremony to mark the commencement of work on the $180,000 project. The Rotary Club of Portsmouth is receiving much of the praise since that group is barely 2 years old and has raised more than $70,000 of the total cost. The balance comes from a Rotary International grant, which the group was able to secure based on its proceeds of its Sweet Jazz fundraising event last September and contributions from the Friends of the Portsmouth Hospital. This massive undertaking of the Rotary Club is a collaborative effort. Those efforts came largely from platinum sponsor Ross University.
Ross has become synonymous to Portsmouth. We wouldn't know the Portsmouth that we know today had it not been for the contribution of Ross. Like our old people would say in Creole, "Hi share, Dida Ibla." Ross has really played its part in the development of Portsmouth. And so that takes me to the next point, that in most parts, the private sector that has developed in Portsmouth has come about because of their investments to facilitate Ross University, to provide services for Ross University. And the private sector, and most of you all in the Rotary Club, are part of the private sector of Portsmouth, are part of the engine of growth and development in Portsmouth. And I would say that Dr. Armour and all of those who have gone to the great beyond, who had blazed the trail before, would have been proud of this ceremony here today, because it is in part and it is fundamentally local private sector sons of the soil who are giving back to Portsmouth. And sons of the soil, meaning not only those who were born and bred in Portsmouth who are part of the Rotary Club, but essentially all of us who are Dominican giving back to our society, giving back to our fellow men in a great and noble undertaking such as healthcare.
Representing Ross University was Interim Senior Associate Dean Dr. Stanley White. He articulated that the university takes its corporate responsibility very seriously. That, added to the RFA Hospital's role as the primary healthcare facility in the North, is reason enough for Ross to do its part. Ross University will also train staff in the use of new equipment which have been donated to the cause. New beds, trolleys, examination tables, cardiac machines, and other fixtures will outfit the new department. The island's Honorable Health Minister, Dr. Kenneth Daru, expressed how he feels about the undertaking.
It's always refreshing as a government from here. We see the policymakers when we see other stakeholders participate in national development, NGOs, private sector, recognizing that no one party, and by party I don't mean political party, I mean no one sector can do it alone. And because we are all in this together, and the health sector I've been quoted as saying is not something that should be accessible by only the rich and famous. It's not an Italian restaurant, it's not a designer store. It's a facility, it's a service that each and every one of us would have access or will access at some point in our life. So this is why we're going for tremendous pains and tremendous efforts to look for ways and avenues to improve the health sector here in Dominica. And we really think it's very encouraging when partners such as the Rotary Club and other stakeholders, the private sector, NGOs, when they partner with us to try in an effort to improve the health sector.
Dr. Candia Jacob, District Medical Officer of the North, has been credited with the idea to renovate the Portsmouth Hospital. According to her, the current space lacks privacy and is uncomfortable for staff and patients. Nurse Grethel Peters-Magloire is very familiar with those challenges.
I worked in the casualty department, and indeed it is an inconvenience because we assess the patients at the front and you do have no direct access to see what it is that is going on with the patient. So you have to be moving from one area to another to really be able to observe your patient. But I believe that with the advent of this project and having an open area, there is room for improved patient care.
Over 8,000 people receive care at the Reginald Fitzroy Armour Hospital annually. That number includes locals, visitors, and students. The contractor will begin the 2 to 3 month project with 8 workers on Monday. You're watching National Focus. Still to come, DLP Administration is committed to sustaining the island's banana industry.
Did you know the Caribbean Court of Justice is 2 courts in 1? The CCJ has 2 functions: an original jurisdiction, which deals with your right to move between CARICOM countries freely and your right to move your money and your business. This is the basis of the CARICOM Single Market and Economy, CSME, and the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, and an appellate jurisdiction to hear appeals from courts of those countries which decide to use it as their final court of appeal and no longer go to the Privy Council. All CARICOM member states who have signed the agreement establishing the CCJ are members of the CCJ.
Welcome back. Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit says his administration will do what is necessary to sustain the island's banana industry. The Dominica leader told reporters this week that evidence of government's efforts is the purchase of 60,000 banana plantlets from France.
This is the variety the market is demanding. This is, they believe, it will do well in our climatic conditions because it's doing excellent in Martinique and Guadeloupe. Martinique and Guadeloupe were highly infested with black sigatoka, and that variety has been doing very well, notwithstanding the presence of black sigatoka in Martinique and Guadeloupe. We're working with fair trade very well, and our hope is that farmers can push it. And once we can push it, we'll also bring another 40,000 plantlets because the program is for 60,000 plantlets. We'll bring another 40,000 plantlets very soon to deal with the additional farmers, because I think we're targeting 100 farmers. Is correct? 100 farmers under the program. So, because we believe in bananas, people talking about less than bananas alone. We believe in bananas. We believe it's important for us from a food security standpoint. There is still a large domestic and regional market for it, and we believe if we can correct our quality problem, we can still have access to the European market. But from a government standpoint, we will do everything possible to provide the resources and the support to the farmers insofar as bananas is concerned, agriculture as a whole.
And also this news time, Ross University School of Medicine can now boast of a new state-of-the-art student center. Designed to provide gathering spaces that promotes collaboration among students and faculty, the Student Center is the largest building on the campus. It is intended to become the hub for the Ross University School of Medicine community, as well as a welcoming facility for visitors. Addressing the ribbon-cutting ceremony of the Student Center on a Thursday, Interim Senior Associate Dean Dr. Stanley J. White says he believes that the new building will have a positive effect on students.
Now today we're in a process of the beginning of a transformation to a different campus, the beginning of which is symbolised by this new building. As you will see when you take your tour later, this is a truly fantastic space, and it's one that I believe is going to be at the centre of another transformation, that of the learning experience of our students.
Among those attending the ceremony were the President of Dominica, His Excellency Charles Savary and Mrs. Savary, and the Honourable Minister for Trade, Ian Douglas. DCK Dominica served as a general contractor and construction manager of the approximately 50,000 square foot building, which includes a library, student study space, multi-purpose rooms, a center for teaching and learning, food facilities including a large dining area and space for 3 vendors, space for a campus store, and offices for the Departments of Student Affairs and Student Services. Ross University School of Medicine Dean and Chancellor Dr. Joseph Flaherty says that the government and people of Dominica have always been a major supporter of the school.
The government has been a very stalwart supporter of this medical school. As I tell our students, where else do you see the Prime Minister and the President and part of the Cabinet come to the white coat ceremony as you'll see tomorrow? You don't see that in other countries. You know, and we see it here. We see a dedication, a commitment of the people in terms of housing and restaurants and caretaking.
Acting Honorable Prime Minister Dr. John Colin McIntyre noted that the new building is just the first step in the Dominica-Ross partnership.
We regard Ross as a very, very serious institution that has helped transform Dominica's economy, and we must say we're very happy for that. And the government will always continue to be your best friend in Dominica and, of course, the people.
The total cost of the school is $18 million with a total construction time of 17 months. In other news, the Office of Disaster Management, in collaboration with the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center, UESRC, hosted a week-long exercise on coping with volcanic unrest. The program, which ended on Friday, the 15th of May, was organized in collaboration with the Velco Consortium, a European-funded project. Participants included an international team of scientists from the Caribbean, United Kingdom, and Europe, along with postgraduate students, local stakeholders, and regional emergency response agencies. Dr. Richard Robertson is director of the UESRC and regional project lead.
Well, for the past week, we've been here with a team of scientists from the UK, Europe, I think there's some from Central America, Latin America, and the Caribbean. And it's part of a European-funded project that looks at trying to better understand periods of unrest at volcanoes. And Dominica is one of the focus of the attention, Dominica and Montserrat. And we're involved from the Seismic Research Center with these collaborators to look at trying to better understand the characteristics of unrest at volcanoes. And the idea is that if you understand that, you could probably be better able to predict future eruptions or say if a period of unrest is going to lead to eruption.
According to officials from the ODM, this week's activities complement the ODM's comprehensive disaster management strategy, which focuses on the management of a multiplicity of hazards. When asked on the significance of the course to Dominica, Dr. Robinson had this to say.
One of the things with volcanoes in the region, not only in Dominica and the Caribbean, a lot of the volcanoes, they don't erupt very often, but there are lots of activity associated with them. So there are lots of periods of what we call unrest. Usually the unrest consists of small earthquakes that happen in swarms or happen very close together, and they're usually associated with one of the volcanic centers. And usually they can be interpreted as attempts at magma to get to the surface. So we tend in this region to have more periods of unrest say, than actually eruption, certainly within the historical time. So it's important to Dominica and to the region, because if we could understand unrest better, it means that we would be in a better position to advise governments and advise the authorities who have to deal with these periods of unrest, what kinds of actions they could take. And also it means that if we understand unrest better, we might be able to detect what periods of unrest is more likely to lead to eruption, which is the stage that would probably cause significant damage. And therefore we're in a better position to predict eruptions and predict or forecast what is likely to happen, which means therefore that the authorities who have to deal with it are in a better position to respond, so they could put their plans in place and things like that. So it's useful for Dominica, it's useful for the region, I think, and for the world.
This week's activity is part of the final phase of a 5-year research project. Dr. Robertson gave details of the various activities that occurred during the week.
The week consists of a number of things. We had some field trips and orient people who had come to take part in the activities who were not familiar with Dominica, to show a little bit of the country. We also had a day and a half in which there was presentations on research, on results of research that was done in Dominica. So there's been quite a bit of research that's been done on the volcanoes in Dominica in the course of the research project. And it's now coming out. And during the week, one of the things that we did was to present them to people in the project who were involved in the project, but also people from Dominica. So the short course, as we call it, these lectures, were open to people in Dominica. So the research findings were shared.
This week culminated with a simulation of volcanic unrest based in Dominica. According to Robertson, the simulation aims to test communications between the scientists and the ODM, along with emergency contingency plans and protocols.
We went through with the ODM, and that's why we're here at ODM, where the ODM and the NIPO team, who respond to volcanic emergencies, and the scientific group were going through looking at data that simulated activity from a volcano in Dominica. And the scientists would have had to look at the data and come up with a prognosis of what the thing was happening, feed it to the ODM team, the NIPO team, who would have then had to look at what kinds of actions they could take. And it's a tabletop exercise, but what it did, it would have given us practice and also given us a chance to research how scientific communication is transmitted, and also have given ODM and the scientific group, Seismic Research Center, a chance to check on some of the protocols that they have in place for responding to emergencies. So it's both a mechanism for testing our protocols, but also there are people here who are involved in the exercise, who are researching these things, researching communication protocols in crisis, researching how people deal with situations like this. So it will provide actually additional information that going forward would help ODM and the Seismic Research Center to deal with emergencies like this that may happen in the future.
The UESRC wishes to advise the public that volcanoes in Dominica are currently considered quiet, and the activities this week are not indicative of any change, but are all part of normal preparedness work that must be conducted during these quiet periods. Thanks, Tasia, and that's the English news. McPherson St. Luce is next with the Creole highlights.
Alors tout le monde, bienvenue à cette nouvelle en créole. Non moins c'est McPherson St. Luce. Premièrement, le gouvernement Dominique fait présentation en chèque pour plus de 100 avec $43 000 l'argent pour village council Ciment continuer travail réhabilitation facilité sport communauté salon. Et en cérémonie pour place jeudi où la ministre sport Honorable Justin Charles présenter chèque là pour chairman village council Joseph Russell.
Pour développer playing field là, et nous savons gouvernement déjà Woodford Hill council l'argent des fois avant, mais aujourd'hui là nous avons ça, nous avons ça c'est dernier trench nous pour mener playing field là à dans manière là c'est jeune monde Woodford Hill là ça vini ça jouer wrong d'azio cricket et développer là nous savons un travail là il pour faire drain because nous savons glow sans problème en les autant ces playing fields là où la glow ka courir là ces playing field là so yo ka faire des trois drains dans ti area yo ka mettez nettoyer tête là ranger terre faire des toits estimate excavation et yo ka planter zeb et mon savent during les là c'est mon n'a pas que ça servi fil là mais nous ka essayer après les fini playing field là qui est dans meilleures conditions pour ça jouer.
En la nouvelle, le gouvernement Dominique bien avancé puis plan pour bâtir l'hôpital neuf en Dominique. People's Republic of China a assisté Dominique et puis un cadeau pour bâtir facilité là. Premier ministre Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt déjà fait parole que ces Chinese là bien paré pour groundbreaking ceremony en juillet pour commencer facilité là. Quand même si le ministre de Santé Honorable Dr. Kenneth Darrow tout bagaille qui est en place pour faciliter là par les salaires.
Hospital neuf là comme on dit dans la press conference là la pour l'office ministre health well nous joignons hospital neuf là nous en discussion avec Chinese là parce que était yon de bitin nous am neuf nous dans l'hôpital là l'hôpital là avait plus modification à l'hôpital là ça c'était addition modification que nous croyons que c'était critique pour l'hôpital neuf. Et ben mouvler de ces mon Dominique nous savons que nous te promettons un hôpital neuf là dans premier quart d'année ça là mais mon cadeau bout fort que c'est meilleur nous espérer en teasing plus et ben assurer que ça nous a tapé c'est bagage qui a servi nous pour l'autre 40 année là. So c'est l'année nous de ces Chinese là in fact c'est chinois yo mettez c'est final plans là en hold pour accommoder ces bits nous te commandé. So yo weapon nous actuellement nous cal weapon de pour dire oui nous d'accord avec si nous d'accord avec ça et ben mon espoir que tout de suite nous que commencement l'hôpital là.
Et puis finalement, l'organisation d'Alca travaille et puis l'Office des As Dominique pour projet mitigation des As en Sud-Est là. Parole ça là sorti au chairman d'Alca Yolan John Jules. John Jules fait parole plusieurs conseils gouvernement local qui déjà tapé assistance aux organisations ailleurs.
ODM et d'Alca, nous venons ensemble encore pour l'autre projet assez sous-liste à pays là. Ça qui couvert des listes pour enfants. Nous avons gagné des ratifications sur Bayo encore, comme ça, place ça qui est couvert entier. Et nous avons continué pour faire ça, district par district, comme ça. Vous avez ça qui a tapé, puis qui a tapé encore. Mais ça, nous avons pour Village Council et Western Council qui a tapé. Comme ça, nous avons couvert, nous avons de toute manière pour couvrir, pour faire certain que mon place là bien couvert en temps à désastre.
Messieurs, mesdames, ça c'est tout pour nouvelles en créole pour à présent. Non, moi c'est McPherson Saint-Luce. Ni un bon week-end. Au revoir.
Coming up next, your tip of the day.
Get in and fasten your seatbelt, okay?
Mom, why do I have to wear seatbelts? I do not want to.
James, when I ask you to fasten your seatbelt, please do as I say. It's for your own safety and protection, okay?
Yeah.
Protect yourself, protect the child. Always fasten your seatbelt. Crashes can happen at any time. It is better to be safe than sorry. Remember, seatbelts save lives. A message brought to you by the Violence and Injury Surveillance System Committee, in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization.
If you're working on getting leaner, don't cut out good healthy fats like omega-3 fatty acids. Lack of these nutrients can negatively impact the speed and how you age. To keep feeling and looking younger, incorporate more oily fish, walnuts and flax seeds into your diet, which also helps the skin stay supple and wrinkle-free. Omega-3s also help boost brain health and keep the heart in good shape. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica, and follow our Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. From all of us here on the GIS News production team, I'm Kerdisha St. Louis. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.
because I'm going to cross the street. Okay, bye.
Be smart. Don't use cell phones while crossing the street. Be safe. Use the pedestrian crossing. A message brought to you by the Violence and Injury Surveillance System Committee in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization.